Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. So I had a request to do a flip through of what I have so far in my reading bullet journal for the year. I do the plan with me's every month, but somebody asked if they could see kind of how it's working for me and see it once it's all filled out. So I figured I would do just kind of a flip through. And then I also need to add a couple spreads to my April stuff. And so I figured I would do all of that all in one video. So I'm going to do a flip through of my first 3 months worth of content in my journal, and then also show you a plan with me for my reading rush, stay at home reading rush, and my Owl's Magical Readathon spreads. So this is my reading journal. This is my sticker. I will leave the Etsy shop where I got this linked down below. I don't remember the name of the shop, but I will leave that linked down below. On my title page, I do like a little doodle of my theme for every month. So January, I did snowflakes. February, I did dinosaurs. March, I did bees and beehives. And then in April, I did books. So that's what that looks like right now. These are my kind of planning ahead pages. So I have February through July right here. And this is where I'm putting down any buddy reads I have planned, ideas that I have going on. Like I have my historical fiction readathon in February. In March, I had, my buddy reads and middle grade March and things that I had, ideas I had for that. So this is just kind of what's going on so far. It's also a really great way for me to not forget about buddy reads I had planned previously. I don't have a whole lot going on yet for the later half of the year, but Spookathon dates were announced, so I put that in here and a couple of buddy reads and stuff. These were my 2020 goals. So each of my goals, I did like a thermometer that I will fill up. And for ones that were like a tangible thing, I did them in sections, and I just kind of picked a color theme and I'll color it as I go along. So for my rereading Harry Potter, so far I've read 2 books. Anne of Green Gables, I've read 3 books so far. Classics, I'm kind of lacking on. I chose not to include any of the Anne of Green Gables books in my classics challenge. These are all classics outside of Anne of Green Gables. I have yet to read any, so maybe this month will change that. We'll see. This is my Read 10 nonfiction. There's 2. This is everything up through March. In April already, I finished 2 more nonfiction, so I do have that. Read 100 books. I've read over 45, so I'm almost able to fill out another square on this. And then these 2, I don't have like tangible ways to kind of show my progress on these 2 goals. So I just kind of am leaving them blank, and I'll probably start filling them in a little bit here as I'm feeling like how I'm doing with them. Reading cover buys and reading off my shelves. So anyway, and then here I have my 20 books I want to read in 2020. As you can see, this is not going well either. I did read The Girl Who Drank the Moon during middle grade March, but I have yet to read any other books on this list. So I have a few on my list to read in April, and I'm hoping I can kind of get some of these knocked out here in the near future. On this next page, I have my annual stats. Each month, I do a monthly stats page, and then I transfer all those numbers to this page. And so you can kind of see here what some of my annual stats are looking like so far. I am reading way more audiobooks than anything else, which is pretty standard. The one I'm kind of impressed with is my library versus owned. I have only read 2 more library books than I have my owned books. So that's going really, really well. So as far as like reading off my shelves, that goal, I'm doing super good on that. Middle grade, or as far as the age range goes, I'm reading way more middle grade. A lot of that was due to middle grade March. But I typically read a lot of middle grade anyway. I have not DNF'd any books yet this year that are like permanent DNFs for a specific reason. If it's just like a book that I read a couple pages of and I'm like, nah. So I don't include that. I have to like make progress in it and specifically choose to DNF it for a reason for it to fall into this category. The sci-fi, the genres, this is just kind of my typical breakdown. I think one of the ones that I put as like general fiction, maybe, I don't know. I know I read a mystery during middle grade March, and now I don't remember what I classified that as if I didn't classify it as a mystery. So That's kind of questionable, but you could see contemporary and historical fiction are my go-to genres, and that is pretty accurate. Down here, as far as my ratings go, I have way more 4-star ratings than anything else, and that's pretty standard for me. I don't give out 5-star ratings very easily, and I only have one more 5-star rating than I do 2-star ratings, so I don't know what that says. Buddy reads, I think I was being a little bit optimistic when I put this many lines on my Buddy Reads page, or I wrote this small for my first one. I could probably take up more lines with the next few, but I've only done one Buddy Read so far this year, and that was in February. I read Fountains of Silence with Krista from Books and Jams and Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand. Oh my goodness, I just had a complete mind fart. So anyway, and I really enjoyed that, but that was that. So now we're getting into my monthly spreads. This was January. This was my winter TBR list. I did okay with it. I chose not to do The Hobbit for a specific reason. The other ones I just didn't get to yet. But I did read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's not too horrible. I wasn't too upset with that. And then these are just videos that I filmed and books that I wanted to read in January specifically. This page that I put together was for my book club plans, and I ended up not using this at all. So, and I haven't continued making this page. I am still doing things with the Weeby Bookin' online book club and my personal book club, and I've actually joined another book club. So I do have book club things going on. I just found that I didn't really use this for anything, so I'm not using that page anymore. Or I'm not making that page anymore. My monthly reading log and my growing TBR list, this is what they look like. So I have, in January, I write down the books and the author and the star rating. And this is what I use when I do my monthly wrap-ups and my monthly growing TBR videos. I literally just have this book sitting next to me, and this is what I go down the list. And I have everything I need for those videos right here, unless I have specific notes about specific books. I'll add that to kind of what I need. But and then my growing TBR, I just list the title and author, and then underneath it is where I found out about the book from. So I always try to keep that. And then my stats page, and this is kind of what I do. I put how many books I read throughout the month, and then just kind of tally that. And so you'll find that as we go through these, this is all going to kind of look pretty similar. February, I did the dinosaurs. Oh, I did add doing this posting schedule in February. And this worked out well for me, just to be able to see a visual of when I'm posting things. I did the dark green was YouTube videos, and the light green was Instagram videos or Instagram photos, posts on my wall on Instagram. And so this worked out well for me for that. You can see I didn't post for almost a whole week, and then I posted a ton at the end of the month, which kind of seems to be standard for me. I don't know why, but that seems to be the way things kind of fall into place. This month I also added this pictures to take for Instagram. I think I'm going to start taking this off. I'm not really using this for anything. I wanted to get better about posting to my Bookstagram account, and it's just not really happening. I post when I want to, and having this really doesn't keep me accountable to posting more often. So I think I'll probably start taking that off and just leaving these videos to film and books to read lists. Here's my stats for this month. I read 11 books, and just kind of where things fell into place with that. And then the Readathon spread, this is what I ended up doing. I had my TBR. As I read books, I crossed them off in whatever color I colored them in. And then these are books that I read as well. And so there's overlap, Redeeming Love and Redeeming Love. But then if something wasn't on my list and I read it, I could write it down here. And then I colored in my squares as I completed the challenges. And then once again here we have my reading log and my growing TBR list. Pretty much the exact same as before. And then we're on to March. March stats right here. I read 23 books, middle grade, all middle grade as you can see. So that was kind of the way that all worked out. My spring TBR, I read 3 books in March. So that was really, really great progress for that. And then I have my books, videos, and pictures to take. And you can see here, I only took one of these pictures. So, but I did good as far as filming all the videos that I wanted to film that month. But anyway, so there's that. And then my posting schedule, I did go back through this after I did my plan with me, and I recolored it in marker just so it would be a little bit brighter. But you can see I kind of just put my videos, and then down, if something's like really close to the bottom, that was an Instagram post that I made. And I probably will not continue putting on my Instagram posts on this. I'll probably just use it just for my booktube channel from now on. But I do like being able to see kind of a visual of when I'm posting. And then I also can put in pencil if I have videos filmed, like where I want them to go up, and rearrange it until I get it how I want it. So that's working out well. This was my middle grade March TBR. Once again, I put everything that I had down, and then I just highlighted it as I read it. So I did okay, not too bad. And then these were any books that were not on this list, I added here. So you can see I had some books that I didn't have on this list that I read, and so I just listed those there. And then we have my reading log and my growing TBR. This was a little bit redundant because I had everything already listed here, but I needed somewhere where I could list the author and the rating as well, so that I had it when I did my wrap-up video. And so this was just the easiest way to go about doing that. And then over here is my growing TBR list, and I just wrote everything down, and I highlighted every other one so that I could more easily read them when I needed to do my video. And then we're into April. So those are all of my first 3 months. You can kind of see all of that. Now we are going to start on the plan with me portion of this, where I am going to be doing my spreads for Reading Rush and the Owl's Magical Readathon. So first, let me show you what supplies I'm going to be using. I ended up printing off a couple of things to use for this just off of the computer. I wanted to do the little logo, and I didn't really want to try to draw it, so I just printed it off on the computer. And then I had some old scrapbooking paper, and so that kind of is the same color as the color scheme. It's not quite exact, but it worked. And then I also just had this hole punch. It's a 1-inch hole punch. And so I punched out some polka dots to put on here. So I'm going to be just kind of pasting these down and the polka dots down. And then I have kind of all of the reading challenges and all of the photo challenges for Instagram. And I will write up all of that. And then as far as supplies for my Owl's Magical Readathon, I also printed some stuff off with this one. I have the little Owl's Magical Readathon logo that is on the Book Roast's website. I printed off a little Ravenclaw crest so that because I'm Ravenclaw, so I thought that that would be fun. And then I just printed off the title. I just didn't want to mess with trying to letter it out. I didn't really have the time to be super detailed about it. I did have to fill in a little bit with a black marker because some of the letters didn't print quite right. But I'm going to be using these with a glue stick. And then I also am going to be using the same method that I used in my February spreads, where I used the Ziploc bag with marker written on it, and for that I use the Crayola Super Tips. So I'll color on a little Ziploc bag with marker, spritz it with water, and then you dab it on the page, and it makes it kind of look splattery. So I'm going to do that underneath these because they're the same color as, I printed them on resume paper, so they're the same color as my pages, and I want them to kind of stand out a little bit more. So I figured I would do that. I'll just use probably some dark browns and stuff and golds, and just kind of make it smudgy and kind of look dirty, and then put these on top. So that is what I'm planning on doing as far as supplies go for that. Pen wise, I'm using the same things I pretty much always do. I have these older brush pen and like micro tip pens that I'm going to be using. These ones are going to be for the Reading Rush. I have my Flair pens that I'll probably use for my Owl's Magical Readathon spreads. I have my Micron pens that I use as well, and a pencil. So anyway, let's get into this. I'm going to switch over to a voiceover and music style for the rest of this, and let's get this show on the road. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on my Reading Rush spread. If you are not aware, the Reading Rush is a readathon that is hosted by Ariel Bissett and Raylene LeMay. Raylene is no longer active on BookTube specifically, but she is on Bookstagram. So I will link her Instagram account as well as Ariel's accounts down below. And they also have a Reading Rush specific BookTube account, AR channel, and Instagram account. So I will link all of that down below. They probably have Twitter as well, but I don't really do Twitter, so I'm not gonna link those. But anyway, the Reading Rush is normally a readathon that takes place in the summer, and it's a big, huge readathon that encompasses all of the book community. And yeah, so for the quarantine time period though, they decided to just kind of do a 4-day condensed version of the Reading Rush. So they are using the hashtag Stay Home Reading Rush, and it should be a lot of fun. There's 4 challenges, 4 Instagram photo challenges, and yeah, it should be pretty simple and just a nice time to bring the book Turnet community together. So anyway, the lettering that I'm doing here, I love. I've never done this lettering before, and I really, really like the way that it turned out, so I will probably be using this going forward on some other spreads as well. But I'm just using my little microtip pens and my Flair pens to do the wording and lettering, whatever. But yeah, if you are taking part in the Reading Rush, I would love to know down below what are some books that you're planning on reading for it. I have my TBR picked out, and it's been changing pretty much on the daily, so it'll be interesting to see what I end up reading. All right, and then we're moving on to my Owl's Magical Readathon spread. Like I said, I'm using this technique that I've used before. I wanted to do watercolors, but I don't own watercolors, so this was the next best thing. You basically just take a Ziploc bag, write on it with a marker, and then spritz it with a little bit of water, and then dab it onto your page. So I did a little bit of gold, a little bit of brown, and then some black along the top, and it turned out really well. It had the effect that I was hoping for. And then I just pasted down the little printouts that I had done. I pasted them just with a regular glue stick again. So it got the job done. As far as the lettering goes for all the challenges, I wanted to do some fun little lettering, but I ended up just doing my regular handwriting because everything I was doing was taking up way too much space, and there are 12 challenges in this readathon. So once again, if you are not aware of what the Owl's Magical Readathon is, it is a readathon that is hosted by G at Book Roast, and it's done in 2 parts. We do the owls in April, and then the newts are going to be in August, and you get to pick what profession you want to be within the wizarding world, and you have to complete different tests to fulfill the requirements for those professions. So for owls, there are 12 different challenges or prompts, and then for the newts in the fall, there are 3 different challenges for each subject. So there will be 36 prompts in the fall. So I am trying to complete as many of them as I possibly can to keep my options open for what I can complete in the fall. So I wanted to include all of the prompts on my spread, and it just took up a lot of space to be able to have a space to write the prompts as well as the books that I'm going to be reading for them. So I didn't get to do any fancy lettering, but that's okay. It ended up working out, and I got the spread that I needed for what I need to track. So anyway, once again, if you are planning on participating in the owls, I would love to know down below what profession you are going for. I am kind of eyeing the Auror position or profession, but we'll see what I end up getting. I have 5 books completed so far for this, so we'll see what I end up with in the fall. So that's it. There's my Owl's Magical Readathon spread, as well as my Reading Rush spread. Pretty simple, basic. I just needed to get them done because I didn't do them when I did my regular April spread. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.